This video is the first video in a series in which we're going to buy some cards that have already been graded by BGS, break them out of their cases, and then resubmit them to PSA for grading. Not only is this going to be a way to test grading consistency from two of the biggest companies, but also potentially make some money too. First, here's your intro. So not only do I want to see how consistently the companies grade, but the other thing I want to do is potentially make money. And to do that, we need to figure out what subscores from BGS we really need to focus on when we're buying BGS cards to submit to PSA. To do that, we need to look at the grading criteria from both companies. I think realistically we'll probably be buying BGS 9s and 8s to submit to PSA, so we're going to focus on what a BGS 9 and an 8 is first. It says for 9, it's 55-45 both ways on the front, so it's going to be the top and the sides. 70-30 centering on the back. Corners need to be mint upon inspection. A speck of wear is allowed under intense scrutiny. Edges are virtually mint to the naked eye. BGS grades a lot more strict than PSA, at least that's kind of how I feel. I guess this experiment will tell us one way or the other. But they focus less on eye appeal and more on like up close inspection. The surface, a handful of printing specks to one minor spot. Clean gloss with one or two tiny scratches barely noticeable to the eye. For the 8s, it says centering is going to be 60-40 both ways or better. 80-20 better on the back. Corners need to be sharp to the naked eye, but slight imperfections are allowed under close examination. Edges need to be relatively smooth borders. Specks of chipping visible to the naked eye are allowed. Surface, a few minor print spots, very minor color or focus imperfections. Solid gloss with very minor scratches. PSA is a little bit more abstract in their descriptions. So a PSA 10 has 55-45 to 60-40% of the front. So just going from the PSA 10 centering here, that it has to be at least 55-45 up to 60-40. That would be a 9 on BGS, on centering. So centering something that we might have a little leeway. A PSA 9, it says, superb condition, exhibits only one of the following minor flaws. Very slight wax stain on the reverse, minor printing imperfection, slightly off-white border. Center must be approximately 60-40 to 65-35. So PSA definitely does not grade as strict on centering. That means centering is nothing that we necessarily have to focus on. That kind of surprised me because I thought that would probably be what we needed to hone in most on. To be fair, the 9 doesn't actually specify what it looks for in the corners or the edges or the surface of the card, quite in the same way that BGS does. A PSA 8 is a super high-end card that appears 9 at first glance, but it has some flaws upon inspection. Very slight wax stain on the reverse, slight fraying at one or two corners. Centering must be 65-35 to 70-30 or better on the front. I don't know. My gut tells me we want to focus on good corners and a good surface from BGS, and a centering grade would probably be the next most important. The edges, which is the 4th subgrade, I don't think is as important. PSA's description mentions nothing about the edges. So I will be the first to tell you I don't entirely know how this is going to shake out, but I'm going to make a spreadsheet to track what I would consider like probable outcomes, meaning what recent sales have been for a certain card, and then what it would sell for if I crossed it over to PSA and got the following scores. So I'm pretty interested in a Luka BGS 8 rookie. These two both sold for about $50. Typically, BGS and PSA 8 sell for about the same, so that's proven true here. Looks like the PSA 8s, if it grades the exact same BGS graded it, it would go for about $50. A PSA 9 sells for $85, and a PSA 10 sells for about $185. The catch is just that there's no certain given time where one of these cards is going to appear on eBay, and I don't want to just buy anything that appears. I want to pay attention to the subscores. So this one did not do very well on centering. It's a 7.5 on centering, but as we just discussed, it seems to me like centering is not something that PSA is prioritizing quite as strict as BGS, so this would be the perfect card to buy. I'm going to add this to my watch list and try to buy this one when it ends in 3 days. So for the sake of this video, just assume that I got this card or one like it. In the next video, we'll go over what I actually ended up buying and the exact price I paid for all of them. I found another one that caught my eye. This one is a silver prism rookie card of Trae Young. It's currently as an auction for 99 cents, and it's a BGS 8 with pretty low centering score. Everything else graded reasonably well. The PSA 10s sell for about 150. The PSA 9s are selling for about 65, and there hasn't been a PSA 8 silver that's sold in the last 90 days, but to be fair, same can be said about BGS, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to be paying for this card, but I do think if I can get it for around a $30 price point, it will put me in a decent position to crossover grade it. Found another one. This one is a BGS 6.5 Jerry Rice 1986 Topps rookie. It did well, as you can see, on all the subscores, except for surface. It has a 5.5 on surface, so the surface might be in awful shape. But I don't think this card will sell for more than $40. And just looking at the recent resale prices, for a PSA 6, they sell for about $40. This one's, bear in mind, a 6.5. A 7 sells for $90, so pretty big jump there if we could just cross over and get a 7. And an 8 sells for $140. So, we're going to put a bid of about $40 on this bad boy and see if we can get it too. Quick little editor note, I lost some of this video, but I did find in the interim a BGS 7 John Elway Topps rookie that caught my eye, so we're going to go to me talking about that one. Sorry, my webcam crashed, and I don't exactly know when, so hope you didn't miss anything too much. I think I'll win this at $40. Looks like that's about what it should sell for, but it does, as I noted here. It looks like if it graded just a PSA 7, it would sell for 58, so there's your grading fee basically paid back. A PSA 8 would sell for 80, so would love to potentially cross-grade the 7 into a PSA 8. We'll just see how it goes. Again, I spent about, by the time all is said and done, probably about $150 on this, because I don't want to go too big and then accidentally break a card when I'm trying to get it out of the BGS case and learning how all of that works. But in theory, if this works and we're profitable, then we could scale and do it with more expensive cards and make more margins there. And with the same margins, make quite a bit more money. Either way, be sure to come back in part 2. We're going to be looking at the cards I bought, what I paid for them, and then we're going to try to get them out of the BGS cases and get them ready to submit. See you then.